Hello and welcome to the Circle of Love and Light. I'm Jane Mountrose, your host, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host Gretchen Comer, who was kind enough to join us for this Easter celebration. Our topic today is Easter and Ascension for this moment, which is obviously very relevant and Easter related, and also not just from a Christian perspective. We'll be talking a little bit about that too. It is a universal perspective really on where we are today. So we're here now live on Enlightened World Network and at facebook.com/Enlightened World Network, or you can find us each Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 noon Eastern time. You can also watch the video of the circle anytime after that at Awakening Circle of Love and Light on Facebook at facebook.com/awakening circle. And we certainly appreciate your presence and your comments, everything that you do to support us. It's important. All of this, what we can do individually and collectively to bring more light and love to the world is very important. And we'll be actually highlighting that today, as we do actually every week. So today we're going to start with a discussion to provide some insights and divine resources actually that we can all access to embrace more love and light at this time. And then we'll have a meditation with some of the beings of light who are supporting us from the higher realms, and an opportunity at the end to send all of our collective light and love out to the world. So I'm really excited about this. And I do want to mention a couple things before we start. First, again, I want to thank you for joining us and taking this opportunity. You can light up your own life, you can heal, grow, and stand as a beacon of light for the world by embracing more love. It's a very powerful thing to do. I also want to remind you, if you're here with us live, to please say hi and tell us where you're from, and feel free to add your comments and insights. We really appreciate it. I also want to take a moment after my dog jumps on my lap. She's very insistent. He wants to be here. His name is Buddy. Anyhow, I want to take a moment just to center ourselves a little, wherever you have come to this from, just to take a moment to breathe and feel the energy in your body, letting all of the thoughts about your day from your mind to relax a little bit. And if you can, let them release, invite them to flight. I often imagine them just kind of flying out of my head like little bubbles that you see in a cartoon. And they can come back later. This is our time to be together in this moment now, in the space of love, of course, and light. So again, welcome. And so we're going to start. I guess we could start. Gretchen, if you'd like to share a few words about why this topic is so important to you.
Absolutely. Sure. Thank you, Jane. So I think one of the important things that a lot of people are embracing now is the energy of love. And we're finding out that, you know, it's such a large energy, and today, especially with the Christ consciousness, you know, it really is about divine love and how that's coming from the universal heart, essentially. And that's important because that's going to enable us to transform, you know, inside and get closer to that energy of embracing that love that is always available to all of us. And we all have rights to have love, respect, and the energy of forgiveness just as much as anyone else. And so it's important to kind of tune into that today, no matter what your religious perspective is, and just know that that energy is universal, and it comes from that beautiful universal heart that we all have access to if we just allow it to come into our life.
Thank you. Yeah, that's beautiful. How would you define the universal heart for people? That might be a new term for some.
Sure. The universal heart is, of course, this wonderful energy. It is divine love. If people want to say that, it comes from Christ, it comes from the divine feminine, it comes from the divine masculine, whatever your beliefs are, it is a universal energy. It is well beyond the confines of religion. It's something that transcends religion. It is universal and accessible to all of us.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think being open to just messages, even if you're not a Christian per se, and it's perfectly right for people not necessarily to be Christian, opening to the Christ consciousness as a universal symbol of our unitedness is valuable. And it isn't just about Christianity, as we mentioned. I wanted to say a little bit about that, but first I want to define ascension too for people. It's like, what is that? And it is somewhat abstract, and I guess people have different definitions of it. I'm going to quote a woman named Connie Hubner from divinemotheronline.net, who has spent 40 years in the presence of Divine Mother, who we will be discussing also today, and focusing now on the ascension of humanity. What she says is, ascension is the full experience of your oneness with God on all levels, physical as well as spiritual, mental, and vibrational. The physical body is maintained, but it becomes completely spiritualized. This marks the pinnacle of the evolution of your material existence, what I would actually call just where we can become fully human, what we're here for. Your physical body is transmuted by filling it with divine energies. Ascension is a transformation at the cellular and atomic levels of your system. And again, she says this is not about Christianity. She says every culture in the world has an expression of Divine Mother. Divine Mother is Mother God. Divine Mother is the same as Father God, often called the Almighty Mother, Father God. Although I would also add, she represents the Divine Feminine. There is that distinction to me. It says they are one and the same. Mother God births the creation. I thought that was beautiful.
Absolutely.
I wanted to say a little more about her, excuse me, allergies, about her too. It says Divine Mother is coming out at this time in history on our planet because her qualities are so desperately needed here to unite the people. And as she looks at it, to unite her children. The qualities of Mother God, love, nourishment, nurturing, compassion, creativity, and the ability to unify are emerging now as Divine Mother comes forth to embrace her family and to bring us together again. So beautiful. And she also mentions, which I believe too, is that she's available to all of us, as are the archangels and the ascended masters who we talk about often in the circle too, that these beings are available to us. And they are available really mostly by our desire to connect with them, to ask them for their support and assistance. She says, Divine Mother loves you deeply and wants a personal relationship with you. And I believe that to be true. I think some years ago, she came to me in a meditation. And I've had that connection with her ever since then. So it is a beautiful thing. And we all deserve it. We all deserve the support from these divine beings who are with us and are available, particularly at this time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that the mother energy is such a caring, loving energy that is, that you're right, is so needed in the world right now. And it's something that we can all access. And it's, it's the part of the duality, of God. It is the divine feminine aspect opposite the divine masculine. But when they're integrated, this is a really beautiful energy that we can all access. And sometimes it's easier to work with an aspect like the Divine Mother. It depends on where we're at in our life and what guidance we're receiving at that time. But it is a beautiful way to express love. And, when we share love of that Divine Mother in any way, it's bringing us closer to where we need to be on our path. It's helping us integrate those spiritual teachings. It's helping us to integrate the guidance for our mission in this lifetime. So it's very important energy to access and attune with. And yeah.
Oh, I tried to get rid of Buddy. He's not going for it. Okay. He wants to be with us, don't you? I understand.
Well, to him, you are his Divine Mother. So
well, and he loves the energy. He's our little healer, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another connection that came to me, actually, I think early in my life, and others may sense something like this too. I remember when I was a child, I always felt if I had a big question and I wanted to know the truth, I could ask Jesus and he would tell me the answer. And I think when I became an adult, I kind of put that in the back of my mind for some years. And then when I opened more really fully to all of the beings of light around us, I came back to it, and really more from the perspective of what I call, and what many call, the Christ consciousness, which is the ascended Christ, the ascended Jesus. And the Christ consciousness also I perceive as being like the blueprint for our ascension. And of course, the foundation is love. Actually, which is interesting, I wanted to read in my meditation the other day, thinking ahead with Easter and coming together here. I asked for a message from the Christ consciousness, and here's what came to me. It said, the real key is to hold on to your truth and to fully embrace this truth in your life now. The foundation is love, the journey is purpose, and the goal is divinity. As you have sensed, it is time to access all of your resources and to honor the truth that you understand about who you are, letting go of any limitations that have been heaped upon you by others throughout your life and in times past. Because in essence, you are divine, each and every one. You came from the stars, and your destiny is the stars. I thought that was beautiful.
Oh, that's a beautiful message. It's such a good reminder to remind us we are all divine. It's such a beautiful message, especially on a day like today, and I think that's part of that ascension, is to recognize that we are part of the divine. So that's a beautiful message.
Yeah, I thought it was really simply said, the foundation is love, the journey is purpose, and I think that's what you were talking about too, about each of us fully embracing who we are and why we're here. And then the goal is divinity, recognizing that we're all divine.
Right.
He said, it is the message for all of those who are stepping forth at this time. The ascension is upon us. You will see. And that was probably for me, because I still question. It's like, how would I know? How am I going to really know that it's happening? I guess we just have to follow what we feel in our hearts.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's important too, is just to tune in and to know that we're not only worthy of this, that it's accessible to everyone, but we are worthy of this. And, depending on the past that you've had or the experiences that you've had, I know that one of the things that I was taught as a child is I don't really talk directly to God. And it took me years to realize that I do, that it's not from my mouth to someone else's to God's ears, that it is a two-way communication, and we are worthy of that, and it is fully accessible to tap into that energy, to get that guidance, and to really express that love that's coming through is so important. It's not just for us, it's to be shared with other people as well.
Right, and the key is to be coming from that place of love within us, and with a pure intent.
Right.
And it is people talk about the ego much. I don't like that word that much myself because it has such negative connotations. What I think generally we're talking about is what I would call the wounded ego. It is the part of ourselves that has been convinced to be separate from the divine. That
Right.
part where the limitations that have been heaped upon us throughout our lives and in lives past, really,
Right.
that has created wounds in us and and divisions between our true selves, our higher selves, and these parts of us who are have been really disconnected and are living in the dark. And it is because they're living in the dark that they're wounded, and that's why it's considered a negative ego. But it's not like there's something wrong with them. All of these parts of us have positive intents. And
Right.
really the journey is
Right.
transforming them and bringing them back into our wholeness. It's not like
Right.
they're evil. I mean,
Right.
we could we can come that's another topic, that evil energies can connect with us, but um the parts of ourselves, they're not evil. And it's interesting because they all do have an intent, and they think they're
Right.
doing the very best thing that could be done for us. It's just a matter then of connecting with them in a way where we can help them to access that light and love that is really their destiny rather than the darkness.
Right. Right. And I work with a couple of clients right now where, I always try to emphasize and re-emphasize that at some point they served us in some way.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not
They've
about
kept us
releasing
safer.
them.
Right.
Right, right. It's not
Hmm.
about releasing them. It's about reintegrating them back into the
Hmm.
whole being.
Right.
And we should never feel bad that we have them. We all have
No.
them on some
Right.
level, right? And they're really there to give us perspective and to give us an opportunity to change. And it takes courage to do that, but it's possible. It's possible for everyone. And so I always like to reemphasize that this is not the sum of your parts. This is not who you are. Essentially, you're not just one of these facets or the other. It's really about finding ways to love yourself and reintegrate them back into
Right.
the whole being.
Exactly. Yeah. What they need is love.
Right,
What they're
exactly.
missing is
Yeah,
love.
right.
And
Right. And
that's why they
sometimes,
feel
yeah,
limited. Right.
sometimes they need forgiveness too. And that's another form of love that we can give to ourselves too, is that forgiveness. And
Hmm.
taking a page out of Christ's book, essentially, he is the great provider of forgiveness too. So
Hmm.
it's a wonderful energy to tap into, and it takes courage, like I said, but it's so possible. And I really like to just emphasize that it is so possible to love ourselves and to forgive ourselves so that we can transcend that energy and open more to that divine love.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. I lost my quote. I'm not very good. Oh, here it is. I'm not very good with biblical quotes. I'm not actually a serious student of the Bible, but I would say I'm a serious student of the Christ consciousness. And a quote that stood out to me recently was, even the least among you can do all that I have done and more. And I think that's what, when we're talking about the ascension, that's what he was talking about,
Mhm. Right.
that we
Right.
can rise to that place where we access the wholeness of our humanity, which is an ascension from that place of limitation where we believe that we're not really even worthy, maybe, of it. I find
Right.
with I've had a lot of clients, especially because we don't go into it quite as much with students. It's a deeper level sometimes, um, but who feel like they're not worthy of God's grace, or they feel like God has abandoned them. And
Mm.
there are reasons for it. Those parts of the self believe that, but really the journey and the ascension is about, again, what we've been talking about, bringing those parts back into our wholeness and healing them.
Right, absolutely. And we can use the life of Christ on earth as an example of how to live a life, but we need to remember we're never going to do it perfectly. It's not meant for us to do it perfectly. There's no
Right. Perfection,
expectation.
right? Perfection
Right,
is not
for us
part
to,
of it.
right. I mean, we don't need to emulate his life exactly. That was his experience, and we all have our own unique experience. And there's never been an expectation of perfection. So I think that's,
Right.
use it as a guide. We can use it
Mhm.
as a guide. And
Mhm.
yeah,
Right. And actually, we're here to be uniquely ourselves.
right. Absolutely, absolutely. And when we receive that love from the Divine Mother or from the Divine Father, we're allowing our own heart to feel the grace and healing from that, and that's a beautiful energy. And I think that's important to acknowledge too, that there is a flow to it. There is a flow, and some days we may not feel attuned with that, and that's okay.
Mhm.
We always have an opportunity to come back to it. There's always another opportunity to attune.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, and we do meditations in the circle, the kinds of things that you can do yourself. And today we're going to do a really beautiful, I think it's going to be beautiful. We'll see.
Right.
I actually haven't done this one before, but I feel it. And so we have an opportunity actually in any moment to stop if we find ourselves in momentum, just to stop. That's Buddy expressing himself.
Oh
And
my
we can
goodness.
stop whatever we're doing if we're in some kind of a momentum and breathe like we did at the beginning here. Just come
Right.
back into our bodies. And then, you start to feel much more like yourself then,
Mm-hmm.
because you are actually. I think when we're in momentums, we're not fully here. Come on, sweetie.
Right.
Okay. Why don't you just sit still? Yeah. Dogs are really wonderful. There's also I love the saying that to come to heaven as a child. And I can't remember how it's phrased in the Bible, that unless you come as a little child, you won't make it into the kingdom of God.
Right.
And I think that has to do with being playful and open, and
Right. Always having that
and
sense of,
dogs
yeah.
bring that, except he's going a little wild today. Have to try to ban him from my
Right.
lap.
That's a good point, because it's about having that awe and wonder, always of a child.
Right.
Right. Having that, seeing things through the eyes of a child, that everything is fresh and new, and there is a wonderment in everything. So I think
Mhm.
that's a beautiful way to approach it. And I think that's a great way to approach life too,
Right. Yeah, we become jaded, a lot of
Right.
us as
Right.
adults. I was an architect, and I remember when I was opening spiritually and kind of looking around me at what the way people were behaving and really perceiving reality, it became really clear that architects are fairly mental. You might imagine, intellectual, and I think that a lot of people who are like that believe that if you can just be happy and light, it's like you're superficial. And they're more serious than that. It's like they know the truth. Kind of like it's really heavy. But
Right.
actually,
Yeah.
it is kind of odd. I think it's still true that some people would say love and light. Well, that's kind of a silly thing to focus on. It's not. It's like the
Right.
most important thing we could possibly focus on.
Right. It's the foundation of everything. It really is. The underlying energy is always about, we always come back to love. That's what it's always about. That's how we're going to, be able to transmute fear and transmute the things within us that no longer are serving us. So it's through that energy, through that loving energy. Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're talking about divine love. I mean, there is a lower level of love. I sometimes quote this. I was watching the news. This was some years ago, and they were showing some Christians, some fundamental Christians in the United States, who were in the Holy Land celebrating. I can't remember. They were celebrating something. So they were in Jerusalem, and there was a person interviewing a woman who was there, and she said, well, as as let me see. As soon as when my this is a not a quote, when my minister told me to love the Jews, ever since then I have loved them with all my heart. What that suggests is if her minister then told her not to love the Jews, she would probably not love them with all of her heart. And what I'm saying is there is that idea of conditional love, which is not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're actually talking about divine love, which is a state of connectedness with the divine, connected with everyone and everything.
Right. And I think that it requires us to be discerning. You know, we need to be able to discern, especially what's going to work for us and what's right for us, because divine love is not conditional in any way.
So, exactly. Right. I love actually one of my favorite kind of all time I can remember from when I was fairly young in the Bible. Love is not love that alters when it alteration finds, which I think is beautiful. That whole part of, I think it's Ecclesiastes, is just beautiful.
Right. I've actually heard that term is being referred to as the chameleon heart. And it's the one that changes with every situation. And it's not a very grounded way to live, you know, if you're always changing based on your circumstances. So and divine love, of course, is universal. So it's so much larger, and it's to me, it's kind of like a flow, or like a river that's always flowing, and we can choose to be in the flow of it, or we can choose to stay on the shore. But we're going to have a much more abundant and prosperous life where we're living in our joy. Right, exactly. Where we're living in our joy, where we're connecting with that. Yeah, if we're staying in that flow and just surrendering to it and just letting it guide us, you know. But it doesn't mean not being discerning. It doesn't mean making good choices. It means just tuning into that energy, which is going to give us the freedom to make the best choices and to embrace the best opportunities.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's the top. This is a great topic. I love, I love it. And before we get too far, I wanted to. I know when Gretchen and I were talking before we started, I mentioned to her I did an oracle reading this morning, related to today, and the message possibly for the circle. And I know then when we talked, Gretchen, you said you did one too, and I wondered if you'd like to share yours.
Sure, absolutely. I chose from the Lightworker Oracle deck by Alana Fairchild. And ironically, I chose the card, which is the Cosmic Heart, Cosmic Christ. And it's a beautiful image. And you can't really see, but this is a beautiful crystalline palace and the ocean and a mountain. And it's kind of at this lofty, higher area with a depiction of Christ coming out of the top of the mountain. And it has some beautiful things to say. And I think one of the big takeaways is that this is really talking about how many of us are elevating our vibration right now. And we're elevating it to a frequency of limitless supply and unconditional love. And so a lot of us are reaching for that high level of attainment, and we're able to transmute any kind of past pain or self-defeating behaviors and limitations through that use of accessing universal love. And it really calls us to, this card in particular calls us to challenge some of that past that maybe we want to transmute or transform, and that it's so possible, and it can be done very quickly, as Jane has proven in some of these circles of love and light in the past. We've been doing these wonderful meditations, and it's amazing how much healing comes very quickly if we just open up to that divine love. And so this card is saying that, you know, when you let love in, you are tuning with the universal energy. You don't have to suffer to grow in your soul and in your spirit. You just need to let that love flow, and it's going to be your best guide. And so that's the Christ consciousness, is really about tuning into that love. And, you know, there's going to be tests we have in life that'll test us, and it'll test our willingness to forgive. But the first person we generally need to forgive is ourselves. And when we do that, we are clearing the path. We're clearing out, we're clearing the way to that universal love, that divine love.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a
Yeah.
beautiful card, and it's a beautiful message for today. And the heart of the card really is about it being accessible to all of us. And that energy of love is just accessible, like you said, with the Divine Mother or the Divine Father, whatever aspect we choose to use, or to attune to. It's
Mhm.
really the basis is love. And so that's a beautiful card for today. And I was
Right.
surprised. I shouldn't be surprised that I got it, but I was
Yeah,
surprised.
it's interesting. It is interesting.
So yeah.
Right. Working with oracles, I think both of us have been doing that quite regularly now. And for me, part of it is guidance I received a while back, and I I apologize for the allergy throat, but um, so I chose this oracle, Mother Mary Oracle and Guidebook today. Um, and the card that I received, excuse me, it's number 20. Beautiful. The cards are very beautiful. This is Divine Feminine, and it's called Our Lady of the Star Blossom, which it's very beautiful. I didn't know at all what that was about. So I'm going to read. I want to first give you kind of an overview of the Mother Mary Oracle, and it really is. It's interesting because in my mind, I make a distinction between Mother Mary and Divine Mother, with Divine Mother being Mother, Father, God, and Mother Mary being the mother of Jesus. But you can see also that they are one and the same, but really it is the focus on Divine Mother that is meaningful, at least to me. So in it, it says, this is an overview of it. Allow, excuse me. I already had a cough drop. It didn't help much. Um, Allow Mother Mary to empower you with the knowledge of your own spiritual potency, your own divinity, so that you too can be a vehicle of the Holy Mother's sacred plan for peace and love on earth through the grace of the Holy Mother. May this be so that all living beings shall become free. I thought that was beautiful. And again, this is not about Christianity. This is a universal message. You could receive the same message from a different perspective, maybe Kuan Yin, who is another beautiful, beautiful being of love, a divine feminine energy. So the Our Lady of Star Blossom card says, I bring you sweet tidings of heavenly grace from the star-filled heavens, which is where we're going to go here in a moment in our meditation. There are spiritual beings and a great list among us that wish to assist you. These beings love you unconditionally and will only come to your aid if asked. I think this is a really important point, that there are so many, the archangels, the masters, all of these beings of light. There are the ones who are with us always, like our guardian angels, but there are those who we need to invite into our lives, like Divine Mother. Together, we can assist you. These loving beings share this message with you. Ask us for assistance, and we shall not hesitate to bring our greatest power to your aid. We all wish for the same result, for love to be made fully manifest. Ask for our help, beloved, and all shall benefit. I thought that was beautiful.
That is beautiful. And again, I think it's a point that we have emphasized here in the Circle of Love and Light too, is we need to ask.
Right.
Those are we need to be open and to ask because of our free will. That a lot of the light beings are not going to usurp our free will. So it's important to ask and feel worthy that it's okay to ask, that it's
well,
something
we deserve. Right.
right,
We deserve
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So important. And it is important, I think, for us to ask. And I think also for myself, I realize in asking how important it is for us to ask for ourselves, because we have to really want this. We have to really want this support. We have to really want to ascend.
Right.
And they can't do it for us. And I think our relationships with them are most effective when we act on the guidance we receive too,
Mhm.
because it's not just a one-way street where they're supporting us. We have to also be supporting ourselves.
Right.
And in
Right.
supporting ourselves, we're supporting them in
Right.
wanting to achieve the ascension for humanity.
Right. I had that explained to me one time. You have to see this divine guidance that's coming through to us as a gift. You know, if somebody handed you a gift, you wouldn't shove it back in their face. So it's really about attuning with that and accepting it as the gift it is. And it's not always going to have fireworks, you know, when it comes to you. It can come very simply or through other people or just being open and witnessing in nature or being around a group of family or friends. And it really is a gift and we can see it as a gift. And if we accept it as a gift, we're again opening up to more of those possibilities and opportunities in life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, I want to take that journey to the stars that was alluded to actually in in the reading. Interestingly, it all was so synchronous with everything, I think.
Right. Right.
And so I guess I can keep Lee here. He's being pretty good. So we can start if you're in an appropriate place for closing your eyes where you can just relax. It's a good place to start, and breathing, just breathing in some of that beautiful love and light that are always around us. We can invite that from the beings of life, of love and light who are with us. Just invite them to surround us with love and light so we can breathe it in, allowing it as we inhale, allowing it into our bodies and the cells of our bodies. And as we exhale, allowing it to release any energies that are lower energies, incoherent energies, any kind of stress that we sense in our bodies or in our field, that energy field around us, any tightness we feel in our bodies. So with every breath, we become lighter. And we can invite that light into the brain and ask again, as I did at the beginning, for any thoughts that you don't need now. Just allow them to drift off. They can drift off in little bubbles of light. Our minds want to be involved. They want to comment and be heard, which can happen after. I think actually after we're done, that's a perfect time for the mind to evaluate the experience so that it can come more into harmony with what we do experience. But for now, we just want to be in this moment in our bodies, breathing in light so that we can, with every breath, feel light enough to start to rise up into a place, a special place. And what I would like to invite today is for you to imagine that you can be in a place where the universe is all around you and you're on top of the world. So you're on top of the world in your fullness of being. And you can see that the infinite beauty of the universe around you, all of the stars, breathing in just the purest, purest energy. And feeling, as I mentioned, the fullness of yourself. Feeling yourself fully alive in a place of love, connected with the divine, embracing the truth of who you are as a wonderful spiritual being. And you may see there may be stars twinkling above. And you may sense that Divine Mother is here with a message for you. There was a little prayer with the card that you might appreciate. I call on the guidance that loves me unconditionally. And I ask Divine Mother for your protection, help, intervention, and assistance in all ways that will benefit me and support my spiritual growth. And with that, we can invite Divine Mother to surround us with that beautiful, loving light so we can sense more of how her energy feels, and just allow it to flow over us and around us, inviting it into the body and your cells. Beautiful, beautiful love. You are loved. You are love, and you are loved by Divine Mother, by the Christ consciousness, and all of you, all of the angels and masters who are around. And you may sense with Divine Mother's light also that it is healing. It is love is the most healing light available to us. So there might be something that you would invite to receive healing now. Might be physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. Could ask her to heal any divisions you feel between yourself and your creator. Any divisions you feel between yourself and the divinity of you. And this is just very general. You can return here anytime and ask for specific areas of healing. I have a broken toe right now. I can ask her to support me in healing my broken toe. And just to send more of that love and light into every cell. It's so nourishing for our cells. And our cells, all of our cells are intelligent. They all have a perspective, and we want them to receive the most love, the most light, the most happiness possible, so that they can express themselves in that way, which then becomes health for us. And it becomes emotional well-being, mental well-being, and spiritual well-being. And as we stand here on top of the world, I sense myself actually radiating light now, radiating that light and love that is me. And this in the circle is our ultimate goal too, is to be so full of love and light that it just naturally radiates out and blesses the whole world. We can do that now. Just imagine you're on top of the world and you can surround the whole world with that love. How different would it be if everyone was coming from a loving place? Everything would be different. No war, no starvation. Everyone would be supporting one another. We would support all of the other beings on the planet itself. The environment could be healed. My personal belief is that these things are waiting for us to rise energetically to that place where it just will happen for us. And each of us has a choice to whether we want to be contributing and supporting this or not. And some of us understand that this is why we are here. We came at this time, at this moment, for this, to become beacons of light for the world. And in so doing, also to fully embrace our own divinity and the divine that is all around us, all of those sparkling stars and beings of light who are so available to us. From this place, Gretchen, would you like to add to the meditation anything?
I feel like one of the messages that I'm receiving is really for the collective, and it's about there is always an open invitation from the Divine Mother and from this loving energy. It's up to us to accept that invitation. It's like kind of an open-ended invitation that a friend says, stop by anytime,
Right.
But to me, it feels, I felt this wonderful sense of just love, just always there, always waiting, always available. And it's an open-ended invitation. So we just need to accept the invitation when it's right for us, you know, and that
Right.
there's no judgment, there's no worry, there's no concern about whether or not you're going to accept this invitation. It's just always an open-ended invitation to embrace the love in your heart. And sometimes it may not always be the right time for you, and that's okay, you know, because it's always there, it's always available.
Right.
Right.
Right. Thank you. And again, this is a place you can return to anytime, starting with breathing in light and getting to a place where you feel light enough to ascend to the top of the world, where you have the whole universe around you, and just sensing the awesomeness of that. So we'll leave it now. We'll come back to our bodies and our current place in the world, but we don't have to leave this behind. This is always here for us. And Mother, or Divine Mother, Mother Mary, is also here for us, as are the other beings that we invite actually in the circle too. Those beautiful beings, and to thank the Christ consciousness for providing the roadmap for us to ascend and become fully human. So with that, just breathing in more active energy now, feeling yourself in your body, in your seat, with your feet fully rooted to the ground, you could say, again, and also we can thank Divine Mother, Christ consciousness, and all the beings of light, and also thank Mother Earth for supporting us with such love, which she does. I've noticed when I thank her, and I thank her now, that I feel that love coming up to me from the earth. So we can be grounded to that love from the earth and still fully connected to the divine, and return fully into our bodies now. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Buddy enjoyed it, he said. Did you like that? He's looking at me adoringly. I love it that they do that. They look at you like, oh.
Absolutely. Oh, that was beautiful, Jane. Thank you. I feel I feel the divine invitation is something that we need to remember, though. It's like I said, it feels like an old friend that just says, stop by anytime. You know, we all have one of those friends or family members that's like got an open door policy. And it really is with divinity. It really is with the divine feminine, the divine masculine, with God, with Christ. It's an open invitation, and we just need to accept the invitation when we're ready.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
that's kind of a good reminder too, that it's never a bad time to invite in divine love, but it may not be right for us in that moment, and that's okay. We need to get to that point where we are having that reciprocal relationship with divinity and can tune into that love. And we may not be in the right vibration to tune into that love, and that's okay. It doesn't mean we're flawed or faulted or anything. It just means that it's not the right time. And it's
And
not,
that we can
yeah,
invite Divine Mother or whoever resonates with you, your guardian angels,
right,
and just invite in your whole support team
right,
to surround you with love. You're always being surrounded with love,
right,
and it might help. But if you're still not in that place, that's okay too. As Gretchen said,
right, right.
it's not, none of this is about judgment.
Right. And the invitation never expires, you know.
Right.
There's always an invitation available and waiting. So
Right.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so wonderful.
Beautiful.
I was just looking for something on our website here. We have some blogs and different things that people can access to learn more. And there are always opportunities for each and every one of us. I did want to also mention Sharon Williamson is here. She said, beautiful. I assume that was a response to the meditation. Now, thank you, Sharon. She's an old, wonderful, dear friend of mine. Wonderful to have you here. So this is the time also, which we did in the meditation, just to focus on sending that love out. Did you feel that love radiating, Gretchen?
I did. I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
And it's
It's
just
beautiful.
allowing. It's not giving up anything. It's just love is flowing through us always to the divine. And this is another, I think, really interesting point that I didn't recognize fully until fairly recently, some years ago now, but it was not when I first started connecting with love, that we believe that we're separate from the divine. We believe that we're separate from God. We're separate from all of these beings of light who are available to us. And we never are. In truth, the division that's the illusion. It's our imagination. We believe that we're separate, so we are. If we understand that we're connected, we are. Because there is no division between us and anything.
Right.
If you do
Right.
Reiki, you understand you can send Reiki energy anywhere in the world and it arrives there instantaneously. Now, how is that? It's pretty amazing when you think about it. So, and it doesn't have to be Reiki energy. It is love, sending love. We can send it to the Ukraine, who is really, and I think there's a demonstration now of, I think that you could say the ascension and the need, for us to stand up for our freedom and for what's right in Ukraine right now. Right. So we can send love there. And any place, anyone, your community, any place that needs more love, you can send it in any moment. And it feels good. Yes. We think there's nothing I can do, but you can. You can be the love, for one thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I often watch YouTube videos on different topics, and I've been watching on Ascension recently. One source said that there are 1 million people on the planet who are radiating love now. I don't know what the number is, but they said that that's enough to make a difference. It's more, I think the light is more powerful than the darkness. We don't need a majority for it to be effective and for us to win. You could say win, win in the sense of actually helping, where all of humanity is lifted by the love.
Right. I agree. When we're living from a place of love, and as opposed to living from its polar opposite, I think that has a natural impact on everyone. We may not notice that, but that energy radiates out because we're choosing to work and operate through love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And the way I often look at it, if you just imagine the planet, and there are each of those of us who are choosing to be love and radiate love, we're like little points of light around the globe. Yes. And I think there are always more and more of us joining in. And those of us who are here and have been here for a while, we're becoming more and more brighter. So it just, the way I envision it is that we're going to get to the point where the whole planet is lit up by all the love. So all of the points of light merge together into one. And there we are.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
And just to imagine oneself as one of those points of light, that there's light beaming out from the top of your head and shining up into outer space. It's so important that we can be seen.
Right.
And right. Each of us does matter.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. So that feels complete to me. Does that feel pretty complete to you, Gretchen?
Yeah, that was wonderful. Thank you, Jane. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we go, well, one thing, while we're at it, we might as well, you can also send love through time. So we can send love forward to the week ahead. You can send it as far as you want in the future. You can also send it to the past, to those parts of you who were not loved, did not receive that love. So you can just send it like your whole timeline, fill it with love. And then as you move forward during the week, that love is here for you. in every moment. So we have that, and Phillip is coming home, so the dogs are going crazy. While that's happening, would you like to let people know how they can find out more about you, Gretchen, and what you're
Yes,
doing?
thank you.
And I know you have a program coming up, don't you? Or starting?
Yes. Actually, I've got a couple going on right now. We're getting ready to do a retreat this next weekend with some lovely ladies that have gone through my program. But you can find me at spiraljourney.net. And you can also find me on Facebook at Spiral Journey Holistic Life Services, or on YouTube at Spiral Journey Holistic Life Services. And we've got some videos on there. And if you visit my website, there's lots of free stuff that you can access. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. So you can connect with me there.
Mm-hmm. And on Facebook too, probably, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm on Facebook also. I actually, I have a kind of a small presence on Facebook because I had a larger presence at one time, and my account was hacked and they banned me, but somehow I'm back. Fingers crossed. So you can contact me here. We also have the circleofloveandlight.org, where you can find out more about the circle. It is not the circle, it's circleofloveandlight.org. You can find out more about the circle and hear from us. You can also connect with our website for Awakenings Institute is at gettingthrough.org, which is gettingthru.org. And there are / holistic is one of the main pages. There's one gettingthrough.org / awakenings, where you can learn more about Awakenings Institute and our mission, which is love, not surprisingly. We do have a program now of connecting. It's abundant living with angels, oracles, EFT, and all kinds of wonderful resources. And you can learn about that at gettingthrough.org / spiritual. There is a tiny URL, but I don't have it. Gettingthrough.org / spiritual / spiritual healing with angels. I know that's a little long, but if you go also to gettingthrough.org / spiritual and go to the blog, the latest blog, which is Spiritual Healing with Angels, EFT, and more, goes right to that also. And that course that we're teaching is ongoing, so you can join anytime. So there are lots of opportunities for you. And of course, we're wishing you a wonderful week. There are ways also that you can support the circle. The first one is to go to facebook.com / awakening circle and like or follow our page. I'm not sure what it exactly offers as a possibility. We appreciate your support in that way. You can also share the video of this video, and every Sunday share the video with your friends to get the message out further. And you can also invite your friends to join you and come together every week to be present in the circle. And we certainly appreciate all of your support. So thank you again, and wishing everyone a wonderful, blessed, loving week, love-filled week. Have a wonderful week, everybody.